Enjoy world-class radio online. ZFM Stereo is available on TuneIn. Search for ZFM Stereo and you got it.
The platform. Step up and speak out.
It is a good evening. You're tuning into ZFM Stereo, my station, your station, the hottest radio in town. Thank you very much to Farai Mwakutuya with Ask the MP. He'll be back with our program next week. And today we do not have health matters as a report, as we said earlier on. We're having a special program in which we're talking to the Minister of ICT and Cybersecurity. But before I introduce him, just to remind you of some of the frequencies you can listen to us on. Chivu 99.8, Kama TV Wange 105.1, Bytebridge 106.1, Mutora Shanga 97.6, Gweru 104.3, Bulawayo in my hometown 106.7, and we're broadcasting out of Harare where our frequency is 106.5 or rather 106.4. Listen to us over the internet. It's www.zfmstereo.co.zw. Also download the TuneIn app. It's available for free, and listen to us live and in charge. The conversation is live, and our WhatsApp number is 0731 168045, and our call-in number is 0772 168045. So on Wednesday this week, President Emerson Mnangagwa will launch the National ICT Policy and the Zimbabwe ICT Innovation Drive in Harare. And in the studio tonight, we have the Minister of Information, Communication, Technology and Cybersecurity, Honorable Supa Mandiwanzira. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Now, to help the layman, what does the National ICT Policy and the Zimbabwe ICT Innovation Drive actually mean, and what they're trying to achieve?
Okay, so what's happening tomorrow is that His Excellency the President, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, will have a double launch. He will launch the National ICT Policy. This is a policy framework that we developed in the Ministry of ICT after extensive consultations with industry, with other government departments, with all stakeholders on the direction that Zimbabwe must take in terms of the promotion of the ICTs in the country. So it is a document that is saying, where do we need to go and what do we need to do as a nation, as private enterprises, as public enterprises, as government, in order to achieve extensive growth in the ICT sector. In terms of the innovation drive, this is a fund that we have created together with operators in the country to promote the development of applications, software, and various other solutions that are ICT based by our young people. First, as a response to the needs in our society today, but also to create opportunity for them to create their own jobs, to emulate what has happened in many other markets across the globe. If you go to India, Bangalore is the heart of innovation, heart of software development and ICT's development. If you go to the United States, Silicon Valley is the same. If you go to Hungary, you'll find that they have also centers or hubs where they're developing a lot of innovations in the ICT space. When you go to Bangalore, when you go to Silicon Valley, when you meet the people who have developed some of the biggest social, for instance, social media products that everybody gets hooked onto today, they're not exceptional people. They are people who look like our young people coming out of the Harare Institute of Technology. They look like young people who are coming out of the National University of Science and Technology, or even from the University of Zimbabwe, or from many of our many of our learning institutions. And therefore, the difference is they are given an opportunity in the markets where they operate in. There are resources available either through government funding or through venture capitalists who invest in their ideas. So we're starting a process as government where we must invest in ideas by our young people, but help them make sure that those ideas are developed to an extent that makes them commercially viable. And the partnership that we've created with the operators in the country helps us create a marketing platform, or a platform which those products can actually be sold through.
Okay, I've got a first question here on 0731168045 says, we have lots of ideas, but we don't know how to access the Ministry for Technical Support. So I'm imagining...
Well, the first thing that they must do is at least attend the launch tomorrow. It's at 9 a.m. at the Harare International Conference Center, and they will be able to meet everybody who is involved in the entire ICT sector. The operators are going to be there. The Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority is going to be there. The ministry officials are all going to be there. So everybody involved in the ICT space is going to be available tomorrow. That's if they are near HICC or they are in the capital city. I'm very cognizant of the fact that there are many other Zimbabweans who are listening right now, who are in Mutare, who are in Bulawayo, who are in Beitbridge, who are in Masvingo, Midlands, Gweru, and many other places, who would like to be there, but they can't because they don't have the resources. There is a website where information is available, potras.co.zw, even the innovationdrive.co.zw, where information is now already available that they can download in order to know how to access technical support or how to apply even for the funding that we are talking about.
Get in touch with us on 0731168045 and on our call-in number, which is 0772168045 over this on this topic that we're discussing, that is to do with the ICT, National ICT Policy, as well as the Zim ICT Innovation Drive. Now I'm going to ask a question that was posed earlier on. Says this is from Dion, who says, my question is about ICT and education. I'm concerned that children in government schools are being left behind. It's not enough to just give laptops. What are they learning? Do we even teach them how to code and create?
There are two ministries involved. Our ministry is the Ministry of ICT and Cyber Security. We used to be ICT, Postal and Courier Services, but we still have that responsibility under us. And then there's the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Our ministry is responsible for providing the devices, the connectivity, the hardware. The people who then teach are the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. But that's a very valid point. They must be taught coding and many other things. But you must start somewhere. You can't start wanting to teach people or young kids coding and things like that when they don't even know how a laptop looks like or how a computer looks like. So we have to start somewhere, and we have to start where it's necessary to start, which is, first of all, give access to computers to the kids, and after that then you can go to the next phase.
I got a message here from Kodao Hove, who says, is the National ICT Policy from 2016 the same as the one that will be launched tomorrow?
The National ICT Policy doesn't cover one day. It's a policy that covers 5 years. This one comes to an end in 2020. So it is the current National ICT Policy.
So in making reference to that, I think in the policy you rightfully speak of the challenges and the lack of investment. Investment often means return on investment. And so the question is government expecting a return on investment in the form of money from these loans that they'll be handed out?
I think there's going to be two ways the fund is going to operate. The first one is that it's going to provide grants, especially to universities and colleges, to particularly ask those universities to come up with solutions, or students at those universities to come up with solutions specific to the needs of Zimbabweans in various sectors of our economy. For instance, and I'm not suggesting that this is what is going to be the case, but for example, the fund may say to the National University of Science and Technology, there are issues around agriculture. Government is investing heavily and significantly in agriculture, but we need IT solutions that are going to make farming easier, accessing information in agriculture easier, delivering inputs to people easier. Can you come up with ICT solutions that enhances the productivity in agriculture? Here is $100,000 and get your students to compete to come up with those solutions. And they may go to the Harare Institute of Technology and say, here is a grant, we want you to come up with solutions in the health sector, for instance. So that's one element. The other element is that it must be venture capital driven. We have no money to throw at people and not recover it, because we have a huge pool of young people who want that kind of support. So the fund has to be revolving. So you apply to the fund. You have a good idea. It's assessed that it's commercially viable. You should get support, and you probably need support to buy the correct equipment, support to secure certain development software or whatever it is that you require. The fund must facilitate and assist you to then take your product onto the platforms of Econet, Telecel, Net1, where you are now able to sell whatever application you have developed. You recover the investment from that, and that fund is given to somebody else. The fund is not looking at making a profit. It's looking at developing young Zimbabweans into successful entrepreneurs, and beyond that, making them millionaires. And first of all, looking at solutions that address problems Zimbabweans are facing. But once you have a solution that you have created here, you can export that solution to another African country like ourselves. But beyond that, if it's in the gaming sector, you can export it globally. So we are creating, it's a nucleus of entrepreneurs who are going to be successful in Zimbabwe, in Africa, and globally.
Okay, I'm going to read. This is from Blessing from Cheetah. It says, "Kokana uchingoda kunoona zvinenge zvichiitwa, how much kupinda zvinovhumidzwa here?"
Wakasununguka kuuya mangwana, hapana mbadaro wako ndio kuti uya uine chinangwa chekuti udzidze uone zviri kuita vamwe. Kune kuchiratidzirwa nevamwe vakatouya nepfungwa dzavo nama applications avo vachiratidza kuti izvi ndizvo zvatafunga kuita izvi. Nhoroondo yakatangira gore rapera patakaenda kuBulawayo tikaita muno muHarare daidzira vese vane ruzivo kana kuti vangangoda kuita maapp developments, tikati huyai mutirakidze zvamunazvo. Ndio zvatakaita zvakare muHarare. Kune nyanzvi dzatakaona tikatoshamisika nazo kuti kune vana vemuno muZimbabwe vanogona kuita zvinhu zvinotoshamisa kudai. So ndio patakanzwa shungu kuti chirongwa chedu chine chinangwa ende chichabatsira veruzhinji. Takatora vamwe vatakawana tikaenda navo kuSouth Korea kwakuine mutambo mukuru weInternational Telecommunications Union. Vakauya nemibairo varakidzira ma-innovations avo ikoko. Saka vari kushitungwizawo huyai makasununguka, huyai muone zviri kuita vamwe vachiratidzira kuti muitewo shungu, mutangewo zvenyu, muwanewo rubatsiro, tisimudzire nyika yedu.
I've got another question here. Is how will the innovation drive differ from the Universal Service Fund? Isn't that a duplication of processes?
Well, there's absolutely no duplication. We're talking about entrepreneurship development. The Universal Services Fund's focus is on providing infrastructure to areas that are unserved or underserved. So these are two different funds completely. But we are glad that the funds are coming from the consumers of IT services and telecommunication services in the country, and they are being facilitated by the network operators in our country. And in fact, let me actually tell you the nucleus of this idea. I sat down in my office at the Ministry of ICT with the heads of the network operators in the country, Econet, Telecel, Tel1 and Net1. And they were complaining that they are losing money because of over-the-top services. They said Viber is taking away their revenue, Skype is taking away their revenue, WhatsApp is taking away their revenue, and these are American companies that have not invested in the infrastructure as they have done. They then proposed that we may need to throttle the services or we need to cut off the services. And I said, well, you can never fight technology. What you ought to do is come up with alternatives that are viable. What we should be doing is approaching young Zimbabweans to come up with applications, to come up with software that rival what is coming from other countries or that are unique to Zimbabweans. For instance, if you want to promote gaming, there is no one in Silicon Valley or in Bangalore who's going to produce a digital game of Nodo. It's going to be done by a Zimbabwean because they understand the culture, they understand the game. And therefore, we said we must use those young people, develop them, and then you take up their applications, put them onto your platforms, you share revenue with these young entrepreneurs. And I'm very glad that all the networks found the idea viable, and that's why we are where we are today, where tomorrow His Excellency the President is officially launching the fund.
I've got a question here from Samantha who says, how accommodative is the ICT policy in accommodating marginal... sorry, I'm reading two different messages. Two questions here, and then you can deal with them both. Is there prospective dialogue with any key stakeholders guaranteeing effective and efficient policy implementation? And how will it accommodate marginalized grassroots communities?
Well, the problem is that many Zimbabweans expect that policy is there to be implemented by government. No, government makes the policy, and the implementers of policy are Zimbabweans. So government comes up with a position on a specific issue. It is up to the entrepreneurs, it's up to the Zimbabweans to say, I want to take advantage of this policy by doing what it is supporting me to do. What we have done is come up with a policy that says, well, we're spending so much money as a country, paying license fees on software, paying Microsoft, paying SAP, paying to Europe, paying to North America, paying to India for software licenses. But we have young Zimbabweans who can develop some of this software here. Why should we pay foreigners when our young people can develop that software? So we have said in the policy, of all the software that's used in this country, at least in the initial phase, 30% of it must be software developed by our local people. That's the policy we have set. That is what government has approved at cabinet level as the national ICT policy. That means that every government department, every government institution is bound by that policy. Every company is bound by that policy. Therefore, it's up to Zimbabweans and now say, well, Old Mutual, I can offer you an alternative. 30% of your revenue in terms of software, you can bring it this direction because this is the solution I can provide. But that solution must be up to standard. And that's why we are assisting with funding to make sure that our people, our entrepreneurs in the ICT sector come up with software or with applications that are of a global standard.
Get in touch with us. We've still got 10 minutes with the Minister here on 0731 168 045, our WhatsApp, and our call-in number on 0772 168 045, on Twitter at ZFM Stereo, on Facebook, facebook.com/ZFM Stereo. A WhatsApp message here says, are you not trying to steal useful projects from us youths?
I think that's the view of the person who has sent that message. If they fear their products being stolen, they must take them where they feel safer with them, which is at their home, in their house, with themselves, with no opportunity for development. Unaona dambudziko ratinaro samaZimbabweans, some of us, is that mukaitiro zvinhu zvakanaka, you always suspicious kuti hatida kubirwa. Saka kana uchitya kubirwa, nobody's forcing anyone to take part. So keep your idea, keep your solution to yourself. Let's see how much it generates for you while you're doing there. Here is an opportunity by government where we are saying, come and secure some resources to develop your application. We have negotiated with Telecel, Net1, Econet to provide their platform as a marketing platform for your software or for your application. So you already have a market that is ready, which is the networks, and you can share revenue with them. Saka ukashika kubirwa, hurumende iri kuti taisa fund inokuprotecta intellectual property yako. Well, that's really unfortunate, but we have no intention to steal from anyone. Every intention we have is to support and promote Zimbabweans. But if you feel unsafe, hold on. When you see other young people make millions, we hope you'll be encouraged and join the train.
Mandlampov in Nyamandlovu asks, good for the launch, Minister, but are you sure that we're not going to have a situation of the funds buying bicycles? What's the security for the fund?
The security for the fund is that as long as you are applying and it is being used for the purposes that it is set up for, we have no problem using it for bicycles or whatever, because there will be no funds to spend on those bicycles. The more we have people applying, the more this money is going to be used for the right purposes. But if this fund lies idle and there's nothing to use it for, we might as well take it and build base stations. We might as well take it and invest in other companies as is allowed by the law to do so. But we have no intention to set up a fund for a specific purpose and we use it for others. If we wanted to create a fund to buy bicycles, we can easily do that. So we don't need to we have not been forced to create this. It's our idea. So we will not create a fund to support entrepreneurs, and we use that fund to buy scotch cuts or bicycles. If we want to buy scotch cuts or bicycles, trust me, we'll create a fund for that.
Okay, so many innovators are self-employed or self-motivated. They sit in the house, they're coding from out. So first, let's say, give the example of that person who said, "Are you going to steal my idea?" And they want to see their idea come out, but their obsession is coding and nothing else. So how do we get them involved with the fund, given their lack of interest in, say, in financial literacy?
The whole idea of the fund is both to provide grants, as I've mentioned, and also to act as a venture capital, the venture capitalist. So a venture capitalist doesn't just come with money. They also come with ideas on how to develop your product, on how to sell your product in terms of marketing, on how to position that product, and also how to protect your intellectual property, and how to get you the best lawyers to do so. That is the purpose of the fund. And that's how we can help that entrepreneur, that just coding expert who doesn't understand how to do business. The whole idea is we know people have talent. The best software developers are not the best business people. So you need somebody who can walk them through the business journey, on the business road, and create the right structures. And that's what we want to do. When we started this process and in looking out for talent, we had Telecel. Telecel were also looking for talent. They identified young people in Bulawayo who they then hired to develop what they were developing internally. These young people were immediately employed. I complained and I said, no, you shouldn't be employing these young people. They should be entrepreneurs. The solution they're offering you, they should be offering to other people so that they make money for themselves and develop into a company on their own. But because you have identified this great talent and these young people are desperate for a job, they then found a big company like Telecel actually wants them, they will go on. The idea is not to sell these creative young people to corporates, is to say corporates make use of these young people, but let's grow them as entrepreneurs. When we grow them as entrepreneurs, we can then create employment. But if we employ them in our own companies, the chances of creating more employment is very they are very limited.
So this question of Kwirirayi is coming up and up again, and someone says Nakambo Birwa, and that was 6 years ago. I have email evidence that it makes reference to an organization here.
Well, we've received so many complaints about one network operator where young people with great ideas have taken their ideas to say, I want to do this. They have been turned away. And just the moment they just leave the gate, the network is launching similar applications. I've just received a letter a few days ago of a complaint exactly like you're putting across to me, where I've had to write to the network operator, porters, to investigate this matter, because there are many of those. And that is why we've created this fund. We want to protect them. If you want to go and approach Econet, Telecel, Net One, don't go alone, because if you go alone, they take advantage of you because they can see you have no shoes, so they'll think you are cheap. They can get you your services, your ideas for nothing. But if you go under the umbrella of the fund, you'll be assisted in terms of approaching, and they will understand your value. That's what we want to do.
You listen to ZFM Stereo, my station, your station. We've got 3 minutes more with the minister here. There's a question that came up from Joe who says, will I need to have a party card in order, the right party card in order to be able to access this fund?
I don't know which one is the right party card. If you're a Zimbabwean and you have your ID card, it's probably the right card that you must have. If that person is talking about political cards, well, you don't need to be a politician, you don't need to be a political activist, you don't need to be a political member of any party to benefit from this fund. It's about entrepreneurship. And unfortunately, there is this kind of thinking in our society that anything that's good is only reserved for a particular party. No, it's particular. This one is particularly for all Zimbabweans who have great minds and who want to make a difference in their own country.
There's a question we asked earlier, and the person was said you did not answer it. How is the ICT policy going to accommodate marginalized grassroots communities?
It's going to promote and give incentives to companies that are investing in marginalized communities, who are putting up infrastructure in marginalized communities. It's insisting, by the way, that if companies are rolling out networks concurrently, a certain amount of investment must go into the rural areas. What we have seen in the past is companies get licenses from Potras. They want to launch a service. They only concentrate in Harare or concentrate in Bulawayo, but they don't go to the rural Tunkai. They don't go to the rural areas. They don't go to Nyamaropa. We have now said that in the policy, if you are rolling out $100, that $100 and that full amount can't go into the urban area. A certain portion of it must actually go into the rural areas. That's how we're addressing that through the policy.
Final question before we go. I know you keep mentioning the youth. Is this fund only targeted at the youth, or can someone who's 50, who's youthful?
Who are the digital natives?
But I'm just saying.
I'm just asking a question.
Yes, yeah, but if I'm coding and I'm 45.
You know, if you're 45, if you're 94, whatever age you are, this fund is open for you. But our thrust and the people who are on their phones, on their computer, trying to do things online are the young people. So we want to support the young people, but that doesn't mean that we discriminate the older people. So everybody is welcome to the fund, and if anyone wants to participate tomorrow, age is not the limit. We are not limiting in terms of age, but please, everybody is welcome. As long as you got great ideas that can be developed and that are commercially viable, we're good to go.
And just to finish off with these messages, I've got someone says it's a noble initiative. I applaud your efforts. Please keep pushing for us. Someone says, Honorable, we have been victimized. Don't be too harsh with us. We're at our wits' end, just being cautious. And someone
I totally understand. A lot of people have been victims of their ideas being stolen, and they are always skeptical of these efforts. But I want to give them a personal assurance that when I came up with this idea together with my colleagues in the Ministry of ICT, the intention was, let's save the young people whose ideas are being stolen on a daily basis. Let's give them hope. And here is the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, tomorrow giving hope to our young people, people who have been given no hope. Tomorrow they will have lots of hope because some funding has now been made available for their dreams.
Honorable Supa Mandiwanzira, the Minister of Information, Communication Technology and Cybersecurity, thank you very much for joining us. We were just talking about the National ICT Policy and the Zimbabwe ICT Innovation Drive, which will be launched tomorrow at the Harare International Conference Center at 9 a.m. from 9 a.m. By President Emmerson Mnangagwa. So make your way over there and take part in the process. As he said, it's open for anybody who's got ideas to develop the country. Coming up after the news is So Profound with the Love Lounge. Other than that, I say take care of yourself and the people that you love. And as I say, where I come from, Asilu Sasebenza. Take care of yourself.